twists and turns, and this facade was very, very difficult to build.
Contemporary capitals. Contemporary capitals. शेयर कैसे करते हैं मुझे बता देना मेरी जी मैम देखिए ये ना ये प्रेजेंट नाउ है हाँ प्रेजेंट नाउ करते ही योर एंटायर स्क्रीन कर दो ओके फिर मतलब मैं आप आ जाइए
सर हेलो
या हेलो
आप है ना इंटायर स्क्रीन की जगह पे सिर्फ विंडो करेंगे ना तो सिर्फ पीपीटी दिखेगा
या वी नो
ओके
सर हेलो हेलो
हेलो हाँ जी सर
yeah we are ready okay
ओके सर we'll start around 5:15 and
yeah 5:15 okay done
okay.
Hello, Surinder sir.
hello
Hello, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
कैसे हो
बस सब ठीक है सर. बस सर 5:15 तक चालू कर देते हैं सर. अभी we are just waiting for some more students to join and our both the principals, sir.
ठीक है ठीक है
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello, Taha sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Taha sir, you indicate the MOC from APID Prerna whenever you wish that she should start. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, sure.
Okay. Sure. Sir, we are waiting for just 2-3 minutes more, and then we will be starting, sir.
No problem, ma'am. No problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Surinder ji, welcome.
Sir, how are you?
Fine, fine.
You are looking better and younger now.
Thank you, sir.
What did you eat during lockdown, sir?
Yeah.
Bun.
Taha, sir, can we start now? Hello.
Ma'am, I just received a message from APID faculty. They are joining.
Yes. Okay. So we will wait for them. We will wait.
I think Jyoti has not joined.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Sir, madam is driving. She said she'll take some time, sir.
Okay.
Say for starting.
Hello, Pallay, ma'am.
Yes, Taha, sir.
I
Can
think
we
we
tell
can
the...
start. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Prerna, are you ready, Prerna?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can start, Prerna.
So, good evening, one and all, present on this virtual platform for the celebration of World Architecture Day. On behalf of IIA Baroda, Center Gujarat Chapter, along with Arvind Bhai Patel Institute of Environmental Design, Vallabh
Prerna,
Vidyanagar.
Prerna, can you keep your mic closer?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll start once again. Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah, now it is audible.
Yes, sir. So, good evening, one and all, present on this virtual platform for the celebration of World Architecture Day. On behalf of IIA Baroda Center, Gujarat Chapter, along with Arvind Bhai Patel Institute of Environmental Design, Vallabh Vidyanagar, and College of Architecture, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Institute of Technology, I, Prerna Kanabar, extend a very warm welcome to you all. On the occasion of celebration of World Architecture Day, we have organized 2 webinars to promote aesthetic, scientific, and practical efficiency of profession, both in practice and academics. In the morning session of the event, we had a webinar by renowned architect Aniket Bhagwat, and in the evening, we have a webinar by architect Surinder Bahaga, followed by a panel discussion on minimum standards of architecture education 2020 and its impact on architectural practice. I extend my warm welcome to architect Surinder Bahaga, who despite of his busy schedule has agreed to grace the occasion and join the greater cause of IIA of supporting and promoting the profession of architecture. At this juncture, let us pay respect to our nation, and hence I request everyone to adjust their screens and rise for national anthem. Now, I request Professor Sailesh Nair, Chairman Baroda Center, IIA Gujarat Chapter, and Principal College of Architecture, SVIT Vasad, to address the gathering.
All the professionals, academicians, and students present in this virtual platform, and our today's speaker, architect Surinder Bahaga. Very good evening, one and all. World Architecture Day is celebrated on the first Monday of October in parallel with UN World Habitat Day, for which the theme of this year is Housing for All, a better urban future. Urban policies must ensure adequate services, shelter and recreational space for all citizens. Urban planning, design and architecture are critical to a better future for all. By choosing a different theme each year, this World Architecture Day seeks to draw attention to all stakeholders, students, academicians, professionals, as well as the public, to the problem concerning to cities and habitat. We all have congregated today to celebrate the World Architecture Day as an architect's commitment to our societies, our ecosystems, and our cities. To mark this occasion, Indian Institute of Architects Baroda Center have teamed up with College of Architecture SVIT Vasad and APID Vidyanagar to pick up a series of talks that capture the major trials and trends that are shaping the building environment around us. Also, this discourse which reminds shared responsibility for the future of the human habitat. In this condition, where social media has become the modern agora of societies, we are evaluating the basis of our society, economies, and built environment to become more relevant and more desirable than ever. Just as it is reforming social customs and spaces all across the world, the global pandemic is revealing once again how crises affect the poorest and most vulnerable population disproportionately. Today, as the world paves for a new future, our platform for interaction has also reformed from physical to the digital. We seek for a level of association where architects, academicians, and students would arrive on a correlative platform. IIA Baroda Center has been organizing many events joining hands with Academic Institute of Vadodara, which would encourage higher level of participation and involvement by professionals, academicians, and students, which will promote cross-level dialogues. Professional world has always been on a different ride. Being a student, you always explore and the impossible to which academicians foster their interest, and then it adds their zeal as they enter into the professional field. Our aim is to blend these both. Today, as we rejoice this day, we take step closer in aiming a better place for humanity. Small actions can collectively make a big difference and create a significant change. As on this very special day, Indian Institute of Architects Baroda Center, along with SVAT and APID, welcome you all to this webinar. There are always ups and downs for a new start, but as Plato said, the beginning is the most important part of work. Everything will then follow. Now, I shall open this platform to our speaker and enlighten the students with their insights. It's great honor for us to present you one of the great architects working with urban cityscape and urban planning, Architect Surendra Bagga. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. Now I request Professor Pallavi Mahida to give a brief introduction of Surendra, sir.
Thank you, Prerna. Myself, Professor Pallavi Mahida, feel privileged to introduce a renowned personality, Architect Surendra Bagga. Architect Surendra Bagga has established architectural organization Sakar Foundation in Chandigarh in 1984. His works are published in many journals and newspapers of repute. Two of his churches were exhibited in the 5th Asian Congress of Architects held at Lahore in Pakistan. Mr. Bagga was given Sri Sir Vishweshwaraya Award in 1995 by HUDCO for energy efficient housing design. His Baptist Church at Chandigarh is selected by Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources and TERI as one of the best 41 energy efficient buildings in India. Police Memorial Jammu, designed by Mr. Bagga, got Outstanding Concrete Structure Award from Indian Concrete Institute. He has co-authored 3 books, namely Modern Architecture in India, Post-Independence Perspective, New Indian Homes, and Le Corbusier and Perry-Generate, Footprints on the Sands of Indian Architecture. He worked as Chairman of IIA, Chandigarh Punjab chapter for 2 terms, 2008 and 2012. He has worked as Chairman of IIA Publication Board and Editor of Journal of Indian Institute of Architects from 2013 to 2015. He was Chairman of Chandigarh Municipal Corporation Committee for Buildings and Roads. Currently, he is member of Advisory Committee of India's Home Ministry on Union Territories. I once again welcome you, sir, on this virtual platform and request you to begin the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahida ma'am. Now I hand over the platform to Surendra, sir.
Sir, your audio is muted, I guess.
Hello. Can you listen me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I am grateful to
SBIT and APIED for giving me this opportunity to be with you. I am equally grateful to IIA Baroda Center for facilitating my talk there. And in person, I am especially grateful to Professor Sailesh Nair, Palvi ma'am, Professor Taha, and Prerna ji for looking after this whole program for my sake. It's a golden opportunity for me to share my thoughts with your esteemed faculty and students. I got a chance to do a book on the works of Corbusier and Pierre Jeanneret, which was funded by the Swiss government. And during that study, I studied the contemporary capital cities. So I would like to share my inputs on contemporary capital cities. In the middle of 1950s, Chandigarh came into existence, and it was followed by Islamabad, which is the capital city of Pakistan, which came into existence in the year 1960. Then Brasilia, 1960, and Canberra also, came little after Chandigarh, that is the capital of Australia. So in brief, we will be touching all these cities. First of all, I will start with my own city, Chandigarh. This is the master plan of Chandigarh, you can see, and it has about 16 kilometer this brown belt around, which is called a periphery of Chandigarh, 16 kilometer belt. Corbusier said no construction is permissible in this area because in order to make the city survive, we need to have farmlands, poultry farms around the capital, around the Chandigarh city. But it never happened that way. Many encroachments are done by the government itself. And Chandigarh's name has been derived from the Hindu goddess Chandi. We have a very famous temple on the outer skirts of city. Chandigarh is catering to the population of nearly 1.2 million now, and it is located at the foothill of Himalayas, Shivalik foothill of foothills. The site which was allocated for Chandigarh, have many mango groves, and it was covering about 24 villages. And on the sides there, it is bound by 2 seasonal rivulets. Pandit Nehru was the visionary behind establishing this great city, and the brief given to the planners was very different from any conventional thought. He told the architects that I want a city which is modern and which is unfettered by the traditions of the past. Please note, this is something very unique which he guided. And Nehru's friend, American planner Albert Mayer, came to India along with his architect colleague. His name was Matthew Nowitzki. They both planned Chandigarh city, and this plan, which is on the screen, is prepared by Albert Mayer and Matthew Nowitzki for a population of 500,000, and the road pattern was derived from the contours of the site. And the 2 natural valleys which are coming in the site, they are developed into green parks, and this was the main salient features. Phasing of the plan was also done, but this Matthew Nowitzki, the architect, when he was coming from America with all the documents and drawings, the plane crashed, and Albert Mayer got very scary, and he said that alone I will not be able to take up such a huge project. So Albert Mayer was reluctant to take the project. So this Pandit Nehru asked his team to look for another architect. That was the historic background. So the plan which Albert Mayer's team gave got one super block. Nowadays we call it sector, but in the terminology of Mayer, he used to call it Super block. Super block was having dimensions of 500 meters by 1000 meters, and it was further subdivided into 3 sections. One is for lower income group. Other segment is dedicated to middle income, and then the next segment is high income groups. So the aim was to intermix different income groups. And but somehow when he could not take up the project, then Corbusier arrived at the Indian scene. You can see in this picture, Corbusier and Pandit Nehru are walking. And this is a plan given by Corbusier. You can see, he compared the Chandigarh plan with a human body, and he said head is the capital complex, where we have shown in red color. And then heart is the commercial center in the middle of the city, and these green park strips and the gardens are called lungs, and the road network and the pedestrian pathways are termed as circulatory system, and limbs are the educational belt and the industrial belt, which is located on either side of the city. This is how Corbusier described his city. This is how he compared it with the human body. And Corbusier's plan was basically, catering to the 4 basic functions of human need. One was living, working, circulation, and care of body and spirit. And many people may not be knowing that Corbusier finalized Chandigarh's master plan in just 4 days. You look at the time taken. He finalized the entire Chandigarh plan in just 4 days because he was loaded with lot of studies, with lot of theories. Already he was fully prepared that in case he gets some such assignment, what he is going to do. And he stated the road network, which is given by this mayor's team. And in his thoughts, he has written in some books that a curved street is a donkey street, he wrote. He said for a vehicular movement, you need straight roads. This is the logic he has given. And this sketch is indicating that how he described his circulation system in the city. He named the roads like V1, V2, up till V7 and V8. According to the volume of traffic they carry, the roads are named accordingly. Now, just some glimpses of the road network. These are one major roads, the intersection of major roads having a huge roundabout. This is the view at night. This road is called Janmarg, which is leading to the capital complex. You can see in the foreground, in the background, you can see the mountains, and you can also see, the capital complex. And Janmarg, it is named Janmarg because most of the people which are going to the capital complex are following this route. This is the view of the Janmarg during the day. On the right side, we have 7-storied frame structure buildings, and on the left side we have garden strip. And all the roads are designed in such a manner that they are focusing on the hills. And each road had different kind of a plantation, so that at different times all roads will look different. The plantation of the roads has been done very, very carefully by a expert team under the guidance of Corbusier. When the main road was not to be disturbed, a side road was laid to feed to the major institutions. When you have to enter some educational campus, you have to take the inner road by diverting from the main road. Then coming to the sector plan. The Corbusier sector plan was 800 meters by 1200 meters, and it's a neighborhood unit catering to a population of nearly 3,000 to 20,000. And it is a self-sufficient entry from 4 sides, and the market is located in the middle, And along with the market, each sector will have a dispensary, each sector will have schools, primary school, high school, and facilities like this. So that, the residents of that particular sector may not have to go outside for buying their daily needs. And the landscaping and the green areas are designed in a proper hierarchy. He has given city level green spaces. Then he has given free flowing green spaces which are passing from one sector to the other sector. Then semi-private green spaces, then private green areas in the residential units. A proper hierarchy of green spaces is followed. And coming to traffic and parking, Chandigarh is the only city probably in India where the number of vehicles are almost equal to the number of inhabitants. We have nearly 13 lakhs population and we have 13 lakh vehicles. And a registration of nearly 4,000 new vehicles is done every month. As a result, the city remains very congested in spite of having huge roads, and many vehicles cross the city daily. You can see the traffic here in spite of having such a beautiful planning. Look at the traffic scene because we have too many number of vehicles. Okay. Then, when Sector 17, which is the city center, it was being planned, Corbusier thought that he will have two overbridges which will be passing through Sector 17, and the lower level will be totally pedestrianized so that shoppers and shopkeepers can move freely in the plaza area. But due to some reasons, one overbridge was built, 70 years back, but one bridge was pending because of some technical hitches. And I was made councillor in Chandigarh Municipal Corporation. I thought being an architect, I should do something different. So I took up that project of constructing the pending overbridge, which was designed by Corbusier. And I succeeded in that. And this overbridge was built with my initiative just 3-4 years back. And, with the construction and completion of this overbridge, the entire Sector 17 has been pedestrianized. You can see the pictures of this overbridge. You can see the bottom part of the plaza is, the floor of the plaza is totally pedestrianized with the construction of this. And the vehicles, they cross over this overbridge. Some other pictures of the same. When designing these roundabouts, Corbusier gave a very unique plan. He said that in the phase 1, we will have roundabouts when we have less number of vehicles. And in the phase 2, we will add slip roads, which is the bottom picture, bottom sketch. And in the third phase, he said we will add underbridge. And in the fourth phase, we will have underbridge and overbridge also. So this is, he said, at the same roundabout, we can segregate traffic at 3 levels and there will not be any congestion. But unfortunately, it was not built that way. Only 2 phases are, introduced, and the third and the fourth phase is not built so far. So, which has led to a lot of congestion on the roads. And after that, in Sector 17, we have a lot of parking problems. The government has proposed 4 underground parking lots, because if we built it up above the ground, that will spoil the character of the city. So as a councillor, I was given the responsibility by the governor that, okay, you see if at least one of the underparking can be built. So I studied that and I took up some initiatives, and one multi-level underground parking was built, costing about 40 crores, and it can accommodate nearly 1,000 cars. And this is the one which we could build during my tenure as a councillor of Chandigarh Municipal Corporation. And now it can accommodate nearly 1,000 cars, but without spoiling the character of the city. These are the pictures of the same multi-level parking in Sector 17. It is recently constructed. Sector 17 is the commercial district of Chandigarh, which is called Heart of the City by Corbusier in his language. Okay, now I will be talking briefly about the Capitol Complex, which is rated as one of the best capital complex around the world in the 20th century ever built. It is spread over nearly 100 acres of land, and it consists of components like Assembly Hall, High Court, Secretariat, and Governor's Palace, which is now a museum of knowledge, and some monuments. Then this is the road leading to the Capitol Complex. You can see Capitol Complex is visible on the left side on the extreme, and on the foothills you can see the Assembly, and on the left side is a Secretariat. This is the master plan. You can see the left side we have a linear building which is called Secretariat, then Assembly Hall, then just opposite to that we have a High Court, and on top we have a provision for this Museum of Knowledge, and then we have at number 7 we have a open hand monument and so on. This is the view of the Capitol Complex. You can see this beautiful building of Assembly Hall. Assembly Hall has a combination of horizontal and vertical louvers woven all around, and in the middle we have a what do you call it, assembly chamber, and it is lit with the skylight and all that. And you can see at the far end you can see the this High Court, and how it is set, planned beautifully amid a lot of greenery, water bodies, and at the foothill of the Shivaliks mountains. And Chandigarh, few years back, Chandigarh celebrated 50 years of its existence. And this photo was taken at night when all the buildings of Chandigarh were lit. And these are some of other glimpses of Chandigarh Capitol Complex. This picture is taken from the balcony of Secretariat Complex. Another one. And this is the plan of the famous Assembly Hall. The red areas are indicating on the periphery the offices, and the circle in the middle is Assembly Chamber, and the yellow areas are the circulation areas, where the MLAs can move around, bureaucrats can discuss and all that. This is the cross section. This is the cross section, and you can see a structure like thermal station has influenced the design of this particular Assembly Hall. And you will be surprised that Corbusier was traveling from Ahmedabad to Chandigarh by air, and he saw this particular thermal station of Ahmedabad, and he got inspired from that. And he said that I want something like this to be topping my Assembly Hall building. And after reaching here, he made these sketches. You can see these sketches taking inspiration from a thermal station of Ahmedabad. And ultimately, this building came into existence. And you see, this is another view of the Assembly Hall. There is a huge gutter kind of a roof on the front side. This gutter takes the water of the entire terrace, and that water comes down to the water body through this gutter. It's a beautiful structure. I think the kind of a shuttering, the kind of a precision with which it is executed It is par excellence. It cannot be done even in Europe now. I don't know how they built it. Then, a shallow water pool in the middle of this to, create a nice ambience and cool the dusty winds. And the governor enters from this side when he comes to the assembly hall. Some, on the top picture, he has hidden some post office and some accommodation for the security guards and some garages and all that. And he designed these special openings to hide those low height structures, and he termed it as potato openings in his writings. This is the rooftop of assembly hall. You can see from this stair tower, a bridge goes on the top of this skylight, and with this skylight can be cleaned and maintained. This is another view of the same. This is a picture of Corbusier looking at the full-size model of assembly hall. And this sixth gentleman is one of the most favorite modeler of Corbusier, and his models are displayed all over the Europe. He's a very well-known modeler. He's no more. Corbusier used to make all his models, even for his foreign buildings from Chandigarh, by this sixth gentleman. And assembly hall, has a special door for the governor, and this is a design of this door. You will be surprised that there is a dedicated book written by some foreign author on this door itself. This door was painted by Corbusier himself, and it was having a huge cost. It was fabricated in France, and it was brought to India by ship, and the entire cost was borne by the French government. This is the interior of the assembly hall. You can see this very colorful interior with the, these abstract forms are the acoustical panels. You can see on the roof of this assembly hall, these acoustical panels are abstract shaped to create interest in the interiors. Then this is the ceremonial space around the assembly chamber, where the movement happens, the discussions happens for all the bureaucrats and all the lawmakers. The pedestrian movement and the vehicular movement is totally segregated in the assembly, in the Capitol complex. You can see at the bottom level we have a vehicular movement, and pedestrians can move over these bridges when they go from one building to the another one. You can see how the pedestrian and the vehicular movement is segregated. This is the view at night of the assembly hall. Then is the High Court. High Court is one of the first building to be executed in Capitol complex. You can see it follows the right orientation, and the front facade is the glazing is covered by the combination of horizontal and vertical louvers, and the building has a double roof because only then it can meet with the harsh climatic conditions of Chandigarh. This is a front view from where only judges are allowed to enter. This is the judge's entry from the front side. And this is the view from the plaza side. And these are the sketches and the plans and the sections of this famous building of High Court. And Corbusier himself looking at the model of High Court. This is the rear side of High Court, from where public and advocates can enter the High Court. The movement of judges, public and advocates is totally segregated in order to maintain proper discipline and hierarchy. This is the dedicated judge's entry. This is, this is how he shielded his windows. in order to tackle acoustics in the interiors, he hired, these artisans from Kashmir to weave these, tapestries. And this huge tapestry in the Chief Justice Court is designed by Corbusier, and it is executed it is made in Jammu Kashmir, and then it's hanged on the wall. And this serves as an acoustical material for the interior of the Chief Justice. When the High Court was built, the administration recognized that this accommodation is far less than the requirement. So they approached Corbusier. He said, "No problem. We will add extension plan." And on the rear side, he gave a sketch that this is how you can expand this High Court on the rear side. This annexi plan was given by Corbusier, and the plan was made in such a manner so that it will not clash with the architecture and the style of the main High Court building. It remains very subdued building on the back side. And there was some rain come entering the building. So again, Corbusier was approached. He gave this temporary. He said, "We will make some sort of a veranda with a steel structure or something." So this was also designed by him. Then is the Secretariat complex. It's a very long building, about 800 feet long and 10-story high. And you can see in the facade, it is oriented in such a manner that it's not coming in the way of the view of the Shivalik Hills. And it follows the right orientation to suit Chandigarh. And you can see the glazing is not visible. Glazing is properly shielded from the rain and the sun, and it's about 12 feet deep inside. You can see the building, and on the top of the building we have a terrace garden, which was one of the favorite element of Corbusier's architecture. This is a picture of Secretariat taken from the Assembly Hall. You can see the plan. It's a doubly loaded corridor having offices on either side, and the ramps are protruding. And the singly loaded corridor, have specially designed acoustical ducts alongside so that there's no noise inside the Secretariat complex. And there are cross sections also given. This is the ramp. You will be surprised that these ramps are built before the building was built, because in those times there were no lifts, and the entire material was carried to the upper floors during construction by donkeys, which were moving through this ramp, because this ramp was built before the building was built. And later on it became part of the building. It was designed in such a manner. You can see the cafeteria was kept on the top, because there's a terrace garden also on the top. And Corbusier wrote that I want the kitchen should be at the top so that fumes will not spoil the building, fumes will not create a smelly situation inside the building. So the big kitchen and a big restaurant is kept on the top of the building. This particular block is jutting out because he designed it that this is the Chief Minister's office, having a little separate identity in the elevation than any other, than the rest of the facade. This is the ramp I was talking about. These ramps are used to take donkeys up and down, carrying bricks and cement bags and sand bags and concrete and everything. And then there was a proposal of making a governor's palace. Governor's palace, was proposed there, but when Nehru came to see the model, you can see architect Piri Jonre with specs, and the first lady architect of India, Madam Julie Chaudhary, and Pandit Nehru is looking at the model. In this, Nehru said that in Indian democracy, we do not give that much importance to the governor. Governor's office is of a different nature. He said, I don't want the governor's palace should be built in the middle of the capital complex. So ultimately, on his advice, it was shifted to some other location, and this building never came up. But Corbusier was crying that if this building is not built there, the entire geometry, entire aesthetics of his complex will be spoiled. So Nehru said that, okay, you come up with some different building there. So he came up with the idea of making a museum of knowledge on the same site. And he designed a different building, this one at the same location. But unfortunately, till today, it is also not built. Then, the Madame Jane Drew, British architect, she was part of the team of Corbusier. She was suggesting to the Corbusier that, sir, we want to have some special monuments to be designed in the Capitol complex to render the blank spaces in the plaza. So he agreed, and this some structures were designed. One of them is Martyrs Memorial, Tower of Shadows, Monument of Solar House, Open Hand, and Trench of Consideration. So these are some of the monuments which are designed in the plaza to make it more interesting. And this is the Martyrs Memorial, having a sacred Hindu symbol swastika engraved on it. And this is the Tower of Shadows. This structure is a demonstrative project to showcase Corbusier's understanding of the Indian climate. Where to put, what kind of louvers to put. So this structure is demonstrating that. And this is another view of the Tower of Shadows in the Capitol complex. An open hand monument is one of the most prominent monument in the Capitol complex. It is about 80 feet high, and it revolves like a weathercock, to give the wind direction. It shows that how much importance Corbusier has given to the Indian climate to design his buildings in Chandigarh. And this is a trench of consideration at the bottom of that open hand monument. It is designed to have open air discussions, seminars, some meetings, some get-togethers. So he said that I want all this thing should happen at the bottom of the open hand monument. And this is a complete picture. You can see the trench of consideration, which is a sort of an open air theater at the bottom. And then open hand monument is rising in the middle. And this revolves like a weathercock with the wind direction. And this is a picture of Corbusier, with the open hand monument. Another views of the open hand with trench of consideration. And very few people know that Chandigarh's Capitol complex has been given UNESCO status just 3-4 years back, and now it is being restored to its original glory. And I was talking about commercial center in Sector 17, which is the heart of the city. It is located in the center of the city, having 250 acres of site, a huge plaza. It consists of shop-cum offices. It got some important buildings, and like Reserve Bank of India and some other banks and some central government offices, some state government offices, bus stand. All these buildings are located here. It's a huge plaza. Probably there are very few cities around the globe which have such big commercial centers in the middle of, one was Connaught Place to my mind in Delhi, which is a dedicated commercial district in the middle of Delhi. And another one is this Sector 17 commercial district in the middle of Chandigarh, which is entirely planned to cater to the needs of the city. And this is Central Plaza in the commercial district. It is rendered with some water bodies, fountains, and all these things, so that people come in large numbers in the evenings and enjoy their company of each other here. You see the water feature in the Sector 17 Plaza and how people are enjoying in the evenings. Some other structures, some other views of the same. Then government housing in sectors in Chandigarh is of a special note. You know, it is inspired from Oxford program of housing. You know, it got 13 categories of dwellings. Type 1 is for the chief minister, and type 13 is for the lowest rung of the employees, which is the peons, or you call sevadars, whatever. Then, you know, accordingly the areas were given, accordingly the guidelines were given, and this is a housing. This particular housing is called category 11JC. You will be surprised to know that Chandigarh is the only city where the housing is named after the initials of the concerned architects. When I say category 11J, it means this particular house is designed by architect John Ray. And then there's another category which is called 12J. It is again designed by architect John Ray. You know, you see the architectural vocabulary. They used exposed brickwork, the jali, small windows to suit to the Indian climate. Again, a house 9J for the, you know, clerical level people which are working for the government. This is the housing for bureaucrats, the senior secretaries of the government, or some DGP level, IGP, IPS officers, IAS officers. This is built in Sector 16. It is designed by architect Pili Janre. And this type 6J, it's called type 6J. This is the model of the same. Again, J means it is designed by John Ray. And this is another block of housing catering to a different section of the employees. Another housing. You know, some housing is named like 10D. When we say 10D type house, it means it is designed by Madam Jane Drew, and so on. And in Chandigarh, they created a lot of recreational spaces. This is the famous museum and art gallery designed by Corbusier. And this is the temporary office from where the team operated to build the city. And later on, we architects followed with the government that this structure should not be demolished and we should convert this to a beautiful museum. And we prevailed upon, and now it's called Le Corbusier Center. This is a museum of architecture in Chandigarh. And this is the famous Sukhna Lake at Chandigarh. It's an artificial lake which is created by damming a seasonal rivulet. And at the lake, Corbusier designed this lake club. The building is sunken deep into the ground, about 4 meters below the road level, and the height of the building is kept intentionally very low. Corbusier wrote that I don't want that my building should dominate on the serene environment of the lake. And this is another view of the Chandigarh lake. And Chandigarh is a place where we have 35% dedicated green spaces and nearly 1,700 small or big parks. And this is one of the famous rose garden, one of the largest in Asia. And it is a favorite tourist spot in Chandigarh. And with this, I close on Chandigarh part. Now I will be touching Islamabad. We all know when India got partitioned, and Pakistan was left with no capital city because Delhi remained in India. And Karachi served as a temporary capital for Pakistan for the initial 10 years. And very few people know that when Punjab got divided, Pakistan got 62% of the share, and Indian Punjab is only 38%. And Ayub Khan acquired power in Pakistan in the year 1958, and he shifted the capital of Pakistan to Rawalpindi. And he created a Capital Development Authority in the year 1960. And the vision for Islamabad was given by Ayub Khan, and which is totally different from Pandit Nehru's vision, because the Ayub Khan wrote that I want that my city should reflect the rich heritage which we inherited. You know, he was time and again stressing that I want my city should be, you know, representing our rich heritage, whereas Corbusier was just saying the opposite. Corbusier's, this Nehru. Pandit Nehru said that I want a city which should be not restrained by the traditions of the past. I want a modern city. You look at the vision of both the leaders. And for Islamabad, you know, unlike Chandigarh, different works were done by different architects. And all these architects are very famous architects of their times. Doxiadis and Associates is a very, very famous Greek firm in those times. And Gio Ponti, many of my architect friends would have read about it. He designed the Secretariat complex. And Dennis Brighton has designed Officers Hostel. And President's Complex was designed by Edward Stone. And we have a very famous mosque in Islamabad, which is designed by Vedat Daloke. This is the master plan of Islamabad city. You can see, like Sukhna Lake, we have a Rawal Lake there. You know, like Chandigarh, the city is conceived on the foothill of the hills also. Hills are also there. It is at the foothills. You know, Chandigarh followed a gridiron street pattern. In Islamabad also, we have a gridiron pattern. And in Chandigarh, each sector is approached by 4 roads. In Islamabad, it is the same. Capital complex is kept at the foothill of the hills. It is the same in Chandigarh. So likewise, there are many similarities with the Chandigarh planning. I have already touched this, and this is a twin city. On the upper part is Islamabad, at the lower is the Rawalpindi. So both the cities are integrated very nicely, and the road network, the existing network, was also slightly altered to suit the revised circumstances. We touched almost this, and this is the detailed plan you can see of the Islamabad. You can see the big Rawal Lake. It is near the capital complex, and there's a city park in the middle, and the sectors have a great planning. And the major difference is that Islamabad sector is 4 times larger than Chandigarh's sector. Islamabad sector is 2,000 meters by 2,000 meters, whereas Chandigarh's sector is 800 meters by 1,200 meters. Islamabad sector got 1,000 acres of land, and Chandigarh sector occupies only 250 acres of land. And this is the plan of the Islamabad sector. Primarily, the planning is identical, but the sector size is very big. This is the Secretariat complex designed by legendary architect Gio Ponti. It is, located at the foothills. Intentionally, the Mughal landscape was followed because it was located in Islamabad, and the city's name was also derived from the religion Islam. And the buildings are 4 to 6 storied, L-shaped blocked and interconnected with each other, at different levels. You see the main facade. It has a very stylistic decoration to suit, to shield the windows from rain and sun. This is the Secretariat of Pakistan Capital Complex when it was under construction. And now I will just briefly, this is the Supreme Court of Islamabad, designed by Kenzo Tange of Japan. And you would have seen this building often on the television. And it has a marble cladding on the external, and it's a combination of Islamic architecture and European architecture. Another view of the Supreme Court of Islamabad. And the presidential palace of Pakistan, Islamabad, is designed by Edward Stone. Very few people know that Edward Stone is a architect who designed the American embassy in New Delhi too. You know, he got such huge assignments in those times. That currently where American embassy is, that huge building is also designed by Stone. And this is the presidential palace. And the building is having banquet halls at the top. Then they have given guest rooms for the state guests. This photo is taken by me from one of the building of a art gallery nearby. You see, this building is very simple, but it's a very huge complex, accommodating the entire Rashtrapati Bhavan kind of a situation. And this is the government officers' hostel in Islamabad, designed by Dennis Brigton, a very famous architect. This building is very famous because he has used traditional elements in combination with the modern vocabulary. Then I was talking about Shah Faisal Mosque. This came up in Islamabad in the year 1917, designed by a very famous Turkish architect, Vedat Dolope. You see, this is one of the largest prayer hall to my mind. It can accommodate 20,000 people in the interiors and about 1 lakh people in the courtyard. Very huge complex and one of the finest building I have ever seen. You see, at the foothills of hills. Then some typical buildings. The Nayyar Ali Dada, one of the very, very famous architect of Pakistan, who got Aga Khan Award, I think 1 or 2 times. And this is a building by him. Another view of the same. Some typical buildings along the main roads. And like Chandigarh, they have given 12 types of housing for Islamabad. You know, but they have named it A to L. You know, A is the lowest category and L is the largest category for the chief minister. And in Brasilia, this is Brasilia. Brasilia was having, 2 capitals, existing capitals, but both the capitals were located at one extreme corner of the Brazil. The president, this Juscelino president, he got elected in the year 1956. You know, Brasilia became a republic in 1898, and Juscelino became president of Brazil with a promise that I will advance the country in 5 years, which others could not do for 50 years. So after becoming president, the first thing he did was to build this new capital, which was named as Brasilia. And a competition was held. About 12 planners, the world-renowned planners, participated in the competition, and Lucio Costa was selected as a planner for this big project. You know, Chandigarh was developed in more than 5 decades, whereas Juscelino has patronized this Brasilia city so much that it got built in just 3 years. Building the entire city in 3 years is very commendable. And when the plan of this great city was prepared, you know, the Costa has symbolized the plan compared the plan with aeroplane, like Corbusier has compared it with the human body, because Costa said that in a space age, aeroplane will be the more befitting image symbolically. So it got 2 wings. One wing is having commercial structures, another wing is having residential structures. The middle portion, which is a fuselage, you know, it accommodates the government buildings and the communication buildings and the transportation, etc. And you will be surprised that in Brasilia, there are no red lights. The traffic planning is so beautifully done. And he has dedicated different zones for hotels, hospitals, and all that. And the job of planning, squares, master plan, the open spaces, and the volumes was given to Costa. And Oscar Niemeyer was supposed to design the individual buildings in the entire city. And the team, complemented each other, and they created beautiful architecture. Oscar Niemeyer, who died just 6-7 years at the age of 102, he designed the famous Capitol complex. This is a meeting happening between Niemeyer, Costa, and President Juscelino, discussing the plans of the city. And this is the initial sketch by Costa in the 1957. You can see it is, shaped like aeroplane. The detailed plan, you can see. And the entire city is surrounded by a amoeba-shaped, lakes. A huge lake, having different wings running in different directions. The city is fitted into that. And this was Brasilia when it was under construction. And this is the very, very famous Capitol complex building. It's a 28-storied National Congress building. It's connected at different levels in the middle. And you can see two bowl-shaped structures nearby. Sketch given by Oscar Niemeyer, the model of this project, and another picture. These bowl-shaped structures are like two houses. One the lower house, one is the upper house, as we have in India. He said that I have chosen these bowl-shaped to symbolize my structures with the background hills, because he said the background hills are bowl-shaped. So I wanted my structures to be bowl-shaped. This is one bowl is put reverse and one bowl is put in a straight manner. And then there's a building of the National Congress under construction project. This is the Supreme Court, again designed by Oscar Niemeyer, one of the very, very famous building of Niemeyer. This is a cathedral designed by Niemeyer. Again, very, very famous building. This is the interior. He called it Crown of Thorns, a very huge building with a great capacity, and it's a cathedral designed by Oscar Niemeyer. Some other structures in Brasilia, National Theatre. This is a temple in Brasilia. You look at the kind of architecture they produced, par excellence. This is Lady Fatima Church in Brasilia. This is a memorial in the memory of the great President Juscelino, who made this city. And this bridge is connecting different parts of the city across the lakes. This bridge is also named after the president. And this is the museum there. This is the National Library in Brasilia. I'm just showing you the glimpses of some buildings, the famous buildings, so that you get to know what kind of architecture they have. And this is the international airport, which was built first of all in the middle of jungles to create this city. The entire, all materials, all consultants, all teams, all labor, everything used to come through this airport to build this great city. And when the city was completed just after 3 years, so this picture was taken then, and you see how beautiful this city is. This is the army headquarters there. And now I am coming to the last part, which is the Canberra, which is the Australian capital. The Australian president was inspired from Chandigarh too much. He said that I will also make a new capital for Australia. You look at the inspiration which Chandigarh has given to other parts of the world. And this is a city which came into existence, taking inspiration from Chandigarh. But it is not having that much of a strength, because it got very prolonged construction period. Many architects were changed. Many politicians changed in the midway. So it was lacking that strong character which Chandigarh has. And this was the president, Robert Menzies. He was very much inspired from Pandit Nehru's work at Chandigarh. He said, I will also do the same in my country. And he built this Canberra city, in Australia. And this is the master plan of Canberra. And you can see there's a Parliament House is constructed on the top of the hill. And the city is, have 5 parts. And, it is connected with various bridges to connect the various parts. And this is the only capital city which is designed according to the topography, keeping in view the topography of the site. Because this city is designed by a landscape architect, a very famous landscape architect of America. His name was Griffin something. You see the entire planning of the city is based on the topography of the land. Whereas neither in Islamabad nor in Chandigarh, they have given any consideration to that topography. They have just put a grid iron pattern and just made it. So city was conceived by a Chicago-based landscape architect. His name was Walter Burley Griffin. And the city is, they have a very famous lake in Australia, which is named as Griffin Lake, dedicated to the master planner. There was a lack of patronage and only small network of roads. The project was implemented in piecemeal, so it lacks, that strong character. It's a combination of 5 towns which are joined together. The towns are separated by the forests. And this is the Parliament of Australia. The better image is this. This parliament is a new parliament. And this is the interior of the Parliament of Australia in Canberra. And this is the old Parliament in Canberra, which was retained. And this is the, again, it is on the foothills, like we have other cities. And this is the interior of the Parliament. You see, you can see this interior looks like a eucalyptus forest, because the architect conceived this interior taking inspiration from the famous painting of Arthur Boyd. This painting is titled something like Eucalyptus Forest. So this painting inspired the architect to design the interior of the Parliament House of Australia. And this is the aerial view. The topography, the lakes are as it is, and the buildings are not dominating on the surroundings. This is one center there. This is the International Airport at Canberra, the National Library at Australia in Canberra, a modern building located in the middle of lakes. And this is another picture of the same library, again a modern building. And this is a same library, but this reclining sculpture is a very, very famous sculpture designed by Henry Moray. And this is a view taken from one apartment block, showing the entire city and the topography and the lakes and the connection of bridges. This is a National Gallery of Art in Australia, located at Canberra, a modern building. Okay, coming to the conclusion part, I think all the cities, as I said, they have given no consideration to the poor construction workers. In Chandigarh, we have no space for the construction workers, leading to a lot of slums in the city. In Islamabad, it is the same, and it is the same elsewhere. No planner, no architect has given adequate space to the poor builders who have designed has got the building implemented. And that is one of the thing. And second thing, I already mentioned that except Canberra, all the cities are laid on gridiron pattern. And with this note, I close. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening session. Now I request Pallavi Mahida ma'am to address the questions of the participants for interaction with Surinder sir.
It was really an enlightening session, Surinder sir. And I would ask the students present or maybe the professionals present if they have some questions to Bagga sir. One of the questions has come up from one student, Athira Nair. There are talks about proposed redevelopment of the Sector 17 in Chandigarh, sir. And in this digital age of online marketing and online entertainment, how do you envisage this huge space which has come up? And there have been many projects which have been floated for proposed redevelopment. So what are your views on that, sir?
Okay, she's very right. She's very right because, with the coming up of many malls on the outer skirts of the city, the young generation has shifted their loyalties towards the shopping malls. And the Sector 17, which is the main commercial hub, remains, the traffic in the Sector 17 is considerably reduced after that. Then the government decided to revamp the entire planning. And now the government is doing some major changes, some new building, some new infrastructure is being added to revive the Sector 17's original glory.
Yes, sir. Sir, one of the students, Kajal Rai, also wants to ask that in such sector planning, there is a anonymity which is very prevalent. Like we have an experience of Gandhinagar also in Vadodara, in Gujarat. So how do you actually explain that feeling of anonymity in such planned cities?
I think we Indians are used to very haphazard growth always. Anything which is orderly is not liked.
Sir, there is one more question coming from Sheetal Sharma. I'll just go to the question. Wait.
Yes.
Sheetal, can you yourself unmute and ask the question? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you ask the question yourself, Sheetal?
I just wanted to ask what is the difference in the design approach when the Corbusier used to design and the present architects when they design the same thing? Difference in the design approach.
I think to my mind, the kind of patronage which was enjoyed by architects in the Corbusian era was unparalleled. When I was writing my book on Corbusier, I studied all the files pertaining to Chandigarh, thousands of files, and 50 years of newspapers I studied. And you see, once Corbusier's pen was transferred by his secretary, and Corbusier sent one telegram to the Prime Minister Nehru, and next morning the secretary was changed, and the pen was restored back. You see, if architects were given so much powers to do the work, I think they can do wonders. But in today's era, it is missing totally. There's a lot of interference from bureaucrats, lot of interference from clients. That client comes to me that I want a circular house and I have to design a circular house because this is his fancy. Though it may not be logical. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one question from my side.
Yes, ma'am.
You very clearly, while discussing Islamabad and then Canberra, you were talking very clearly about your Canberra capital was very designed considering the topography and ecology, which was total miss out in Islamabad. They had just applied gridiron pattern. So I would like to you to speak a bit about how it affects, because they were missing out ecological planning. So they might have faced certain challenges which Canberra was able to achieve with that comparative analysis. Can you just brief certain things on those parameters?
You see, when we study architecture and especially landscape architecture, the focus remains on, respecting the natural topography.
Yes.
So somehow when Corbusier planned Chandigarh, he respected the natural topography, yes, but not to the extent it was desired. So that is the main point.
And same thing Islamabad did, but when Canberra did, they respected the topography. So
Yes.
there were much more benefits which were achieved in Canberra, which were missed out in Islamabad and Chandigarh, the ecological part of the planning.
I think nature was better protected there in Canberra, I would say. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Pallavi ma'am, may I contribute a small experience of mine?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, Shilpi ma'am, yes, Shilpi ma'am.
सुरिंदर सर, मेरा ससुराल हिमाचल में ही है, so Chandigarh is my way always. And
Okay.
what is very excellent to like compare about, to hear from an architect's point of view, and जब मेरे husband मुझे चंडीगढ़ घुमाने लेके गए. So he
Okay.
studied in DAV Chandigarh, and it was when he narrated that this is Sector 17 especially planned for commercial and things like that. It was a very different narration from a common man. He's a market research person, not an architect. And then from hearing from you, it's an excellent pleasure to hear you, sir. Rather, I could
Okay,
connect
ma'am.
with the language of yours, with the tone that is there. I think. Thank you so much. That's all.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, Abraham sir, can we hear from you, sir?
I am highly impressed by the kind of research work Baga sir always does, and it's really enlightening, especially to the students who are here. So one very important point which came to my mind was, I have worked in Shimla for a good period of time, and I have known Chandigarh as well. Both these important cities were connected by a wonderful stretch and avenue of trees all across. And recently from Dharamkot to Shimla, the entire road stretch was widened, and all those cedar trees, the maple trees and oak trees, they all were cut down just to make multiple lane road. And the beauty and the charm and avenue of that entire stretch has lost. So as Baga sir rightly pointed, there is a lot of interference from the bureaucrats and other people who are actually not planners, who don't have actual subject experience. That is what is need of the hour. In 50 years back, practitioners were respected and regarded so well. And past 50 years, we are at a situation when somebody reaches to us already with a design and tells that this is what I want. So many of the practitioners mere act as draftsmen rather than the designer's part. So such sensitive parts should be taken care of.
Okay, one comment here. Prime sir, how come you start working in my area when I don't go to your area?
That is yeah.
एक तो काम नहीं मिलता है, आप फिर ऊपर से आके हमारे एरिया में काम कर रहे हैं.
That is just like Shailesh sir from Kerala came to Gujarat.
Yes.
No, sir, I am one
Madam, welcome.
Yes.
So right now, sir, we can end the question answer session, and
Right.
we can go ahead. Yeah, we can go ahead with our panel discussion. And I request Prerna, please take over, Prerna.
Yes, thank you, Mahida ma'am. Now I request Professor Jyoti Gill, Secretary IIA Baroda Center, Gujarat Chapter, and Principal APID Vallabh Vidyanagar to start with the panel discussion on the topic of Minimum Standards of Architecture Education 2020, its impact on architectural practice. The participants for panel discussion are Architect Vatsal Joshi, Practicing Architect from Ahmedabad and Secretary IIA Center Ahmedabad of Gujarat Chapter, Professor Ritu Deshmukh from Bharatiya Vidyapith, who has also been principal at VNIT Nagpur.
Not VNIT, Bharati Vidyapith, not
Bharati.
VNIT. I graduated from VNIT.
Okay, sir. conservation architect, Abraham Patros from Aurangabad, also involved in smart city planning of many cities like Indore and Udaipur, and architect Anand Tato, chairman IIA Ahmedabad, Center of Gujarat chapter. Now, I request Professor Jyoti Gill to start the proceedings of the panel discussion.
Sir, I would request Bagga sir also to be there for the discussion, sir, if it is comfortable for you.
No,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here only. I'm here only.
Oh, yeah, sir, we would like you also to join the session because that will
No,
give an
no,
additional
you
angle to what we are
continue.
discussing.
You continue. You have so many stalwarts, but I will be here. No problem.
Yeah. So the whole idea of having this panel discussion, this World Architecture Day, was because the changing scenario of professional and academic demand has really enforced certain things onto the professional and academic practice. So council came up with the idea of like they were already in process of amending the things, and now ultimately the new gazetteer of minimum standards of architecture education 2020 is there. Here they have really done quite a good number of amendments which will be having a strong impact on professional practice as well as academia also. So on this platform, I would like to have a certain feedback from all of you, whether it is professional or academia background. One by one, I'll just raise a point and I would like you all to have your opinion on that. The first and the biggest change is what they have done is the 3-year exit plan in academia, which was not there earlier. They have introduced now. So, Ritu ma'am, this is one question because very much pure academia. I'll like you to reflect onto that.
All right. Thank you so much for inviting me here, Jyoti ma'am, and all. And it was a pleasure to listen to Bagga sir and get a clear perspective about so many cities in just in 1 or 2 hours. So it was like a world tour. So it was very nice. Thank you so much. Coming to your point, I would like to mention that we have done an amendment which is very much required, and it is like since I have been traveling globally and have been connected with a lot of collaborations abroad, I know that in all the countries abroad that is the norm. So you have a 3-year program which is sort of building up your foundation, and then there is a possibility of exiting at that time, and later on if you feel like coming back and completing your degree or whatever, then you can rejoin. So that kind of flexibility is quite a something which is required and which is currently aligning with the national education policy is coming at a right time. So all this is aligning to give an impetus to even the architectural education, because everybody felt that 5 years of education and then 2 years of master, so it became 7 years of architectural education, and after that you went into practice. So that was the kind of scenario which we had till now. So now what is happening, even with this 3+ model, the 3-year model, the issue which many students are raising is, will they be getting a degree after 3 years? So it is a no. It will not be a degree of architecture. Degree of architecture will only be procured after 5 years. So you will get some certification which they are still deliberating on what kind of certification can be given, whether it will be in building sciences or something. So that is still being worked on, and it is left up to individual universities to come up with some kind of a module as to what you want to coin this particular 3-year course. But worldwide, it is a given norm that for a professional degree like architecture, it has to be 5 years of education. So that 5 years of education, you're not going to curtail. You're just giving an exit option to students, that after 3 years, you can have this exit option.
Ma'am, but here one question arises is that professionally, when we are talking about, there are issues that 5-year wala part is also questionable as far as practice is concerned. So what will happen to these 3-year students?
See, 3-year will give them only some certification. It is not going to give them degree to practice. They will have to complete 5 years and then only they'll be registered as architects. So that is something which I am understanding out of this. There is another thing which the CEPT model is working on, that is integrating the UG and PG. So that is a better model actually. So you have 1 year reduced, and you can have in 6 years UG and PG in your hand, and then you can go out, and that is sort of an equivalent degree which you can benefit from.
I'll expect Anand sir and Vatsal sir to reflect onto this further.
Anand bhai.
Anand sir, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
See, 5 years and 3 years, as Jyoti said, even 5 years doesn't seem to be enough, because passing out students need to be or should be industry ready, and unfortunately, which is not the case. In fact, I would rather give more stress on students exiting after 3 years and then start, working with some practicing architects, and that would help them more rather than spending 2 more years at the school, unless they get into some research or something like that. I think the practice of architecture is better learned in the professional practices rather than the college. Another thing which I would like to, mention here is that the academic syllabus should be upgraded periodically and regularly, because at least before some time I've lost touch with the academics since last 1 or 2 years. But whenever I had been, associating myself with some institutions, I could find that even the W.B. Mackay, books are still prevailing in the current syllabus as well, which has lost its relevance completely in countries like India. So why not teach something which is happening on the ground? So this upgradation of the syllabus is very, very important. And third point which I would like to make is that the faculty, unfortunately, wherever I've gone in juries or any other for lectures or whatever, I found that the faculty members are really not up to the mark, most of the institutions, which is a point to worry about. Because I don't know, in students, I have seen that recently, even in Jyoti's college I had gone, and the students passing out last year are joining as teachers without any exposure in practice or any other research or anything, which is very, very dangerous, I think. And we should, in people in the academics, also in practice, should focus more on these problems, which lead to, and it will definitely impact, as mentioned, the practice of architecture. Over to you.
Thank you, Anand, and thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Shailesh, for having me here. It's a very tricky situation, as I understand. First of all, 3 years exit policy can be a boon in a way that maybe people who are not really going to practice architecture can benefit out of that. I mean, somebody who wants to be an architectural critic, or somebody who is looking at academics as a profession, can kind of exit at the 3rd year, and maybe for the academics there should be a separate course to like a teacher's training, which kind of train them to teach the students. But for the professionals that are going to come out, as Anand Bhai said, I agree with him, that they should be working at some offices, maybe a year or 2, and then continue the rest of the course. So that really would make them hardcore professionals rather than just kind of passing out from the colleges. And of course, the level of education that we are imparting has to kind of change our, we need to change our perspective on that too. So from professional point of view, if anybody approaches my office as a pass out or as a trainee, my understanding of his work or his or her work is going to be on how much are they aligned or how much are they moldable to getting into the professional aspects easily, rather than kind of spoon feeding them about every aspect of the profession. So if that happens at the college level, it's a boon for the fraternity as general. Thank you.
Abraham sir and Surinder sir, I also like you to also opine on the same issue.
Surinder sir can take up first. I'll continue.
Surinder sir.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
My college, which is Chandigarh College of Architecture, came into existence, I think, more than 60 years back. And we already have this system of 3 years. And, anybody who wants to exit the college, he can take a bachelor degree and go away. The system was there from the very beginning. But to your surprise, in the 60 years of period, only 2 students have opted for this. Only 2 students. So I have my doubts about this planning, because the system which is already in place in a college from the 60 years, why the people have not opted to go out? And in today's date, sir, 60% of diploma students are opting for bachelor degree, which is 5 years full-time degree, after completing their diploma, because they want a higher qualification. Once you get into the college, no parent, the kind of a society we have now, with less number of children, parents are very protective and they are comparatively well off. No parent, no student would like to go out. I think in most of the cases, this is my take on this.
Abraham sir.
Yes. On this, I have a point, that is 3 years exit period will not happen provided the student gets engrossed in the subject, the syllabus, and the entire curriculum, and he will never opt to get away from that. I came from a background wherein completely the subject was unknown to me. And during our journey, like as Bhaga sir and me met each other during one council's meet, when we have adverse situations, we try to wave and swim across it, against it. And things have become so supportive in today's era. Like before I joined for the session, I took a feedback from few students that what are your points on this particular subject? I would like to present them on your behalf. So many of them pointed that students, they opt for thesis by copying from libraries of other colleges. So I may have a friend in SPA, I may have a friend in CEPT, I may have a friend in other college. They will interconnect and share thesis, wherein that's the time when you have to get completely into the subject and involve yourselves. Even few students have added to the point that internship should be 2 sessions in the complete curriculum. In 5 year session, it should be segregated, 1 3 years before, prior to, and 1 post 3 years, so that they get some practical knowledge. When students will get involved in the subject completely or in such nature, I doubt that they will ever opt for 3 years exit, which even if the criteria set in today's date will not be taken up by anyone.
Professor Nair, I would like you also to reflect onto that, please.
There are 2 things which I want to tell you. One is what Tatu sir rightly told, that why immediately past faculty students are becoming faculties. So one of the main reason is because of the industry only. They are less paid in the industry. They are well paid in the teaching profession. Second thing is 3 year exit is very much meaningful if we look into the positive side of it. Only serious people will be joining to move further. Whoever is interested to complete in a professional way. So that is what I will say about this. Let us move the discussion further. We'll debate on it again.
Okay.
So I have a point in continuation with what Shailesh Nair has said, that we should try to find out why the industry is paying less to these people and why the academics is paying more. And if they don't deserve, why should they be paid more?
True, sir.
In the academics.
Yeah, true, sir, but we'll go into a different debate.
So this, higher salaries in the academics attracts more and more students who pass out to join the academics immediately after passing out, without getting exposed to the required, nitty-gritties of her practice. And that is quite dangerous, because without any experience, how can they teach the students?
Sir, I will take you. I will tell you another vision of it also. The students who are serious, who have taken a research in the complete 5-year course, they are better academicians also, even though they have no exposure of the industry.
Those who want to practice, those who want to get into research and academics may continue, but otherwise, if a student exits in 3 years, and if he starts, working with a practicing architect, or enhancing his other software skills or things like that. See, what a practice of architect would look for in a new joinee would be that how much he is adding value and to the process, and how more if he is more useful to the organization, only then he will be retained, and he will automatically get paid more, commensurate to his abilities and his contribution to the process.
Could I just add to this?
Yeah, please.
There is always a discussion happening between academicians and practicing architects that why don't you make them market ready? So I always have this question to the practicing architects: what is market, and what do you mean by market ready? Because all practices are different. All architects have a different way of practicing. How do we make a student market ready? So what academicians are basically doing is giving them skills which can absorb them, which can help them adapt to any kind of practice which is there in the market. And also, if we train them well during the academics, then they can also create a new market for themselves. So for me, preparing a student market ready means that I have to make an effort to give them a holistic approach to education of architecture and practice of architecture.
Is it really happening, madam? Is it really happening?
For myself, I can say that yes, we are attempting, and it is being done, and lots of good colleges are there which are attempting to do this. So even like, I'll just give you an example that for my students, we have campus placements from Shapurji Palanji, which is one of a very big name in the field of construction and builder group, coming to our college and taking on campus our students. That means that somewhere we are doing some right things, and somewhere we are probably.
Shapurji Palanji is a contractor.
No, they have an architect. No. What I said, it's a big builder group, and they have an architecture planning wing where they employ architects, and they have very big projects. The government projects mostly go to them because of the group, which is a big group. Second is the Godrej. Second is Godrej, which is also taking in a lot of students from our college.
They are just to interpret the appointed architects' drawings. They appoint these architects, and they are the employees of a contractor. And they are,
I also.
Their motives may be very different from what you see. That is what I think.
Because there are
which I would like to make. I would like to make one more point here. That can we not make them ask the right kind of questions or become adaptive in 3 years? Why do they need 5 years to do that? Because even when I passed out, that course was 6 years at CEPT. Then they reduced it to 5. And I fail to understand why architects cannot be industry ready in 4 years. A civil engineer or mechanical engineer can get a bachelor's degree in 4 years. Why architecture would need 5 years? That also is a big question.
Because
So, sir-
worldwide, they have worldwide, you can go through the net, you can find out. Worldwide, it is accepted that any professional degree needs 5 years to be made
Madam,
into a profession.
in India, all the engineering courses are 4 years.
Engineering is a technocratic degree, it's not a professional degree. There
It
is
is
a
a
difference. There are only CA, lawyers, and architects who are given the professional degree, the license to practice.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, here I have another question following this debate only. Okay, when we are giving for 3 years exit plan and we are seeing that we are agreeing somewhere and somewhere we are disagreeing, it gives one more rise to question. Okay, when right now our architectural practice, if we go worldwide, is not acknowledged, our degree is not acknowledged worldwide, then this 3-year exit program will lead our students where? Is the biggest another upcoming question, because architects from abroad are able to come and practice in India, and if our students want to go and practice abroad, they have to really go through rigorous so many steps to be practicing architects over there. So 3 years exit program somewhere can be beneficial to those people who accidentally landed into architecture and then they realized that okay, this is not where I should be. So that is a nice way exit program. But for those people who are dedicatedly intending to do architecture, obviously will finish 5 years. But what will happen to this part? Is my further question to the panelists.
If I can start with that.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Okay. So there is this particular notion that globally our degree is not accepted. But we are also not accepting any degree in India. You will see that whoever comes to practice in India has to take a local consultant to basically put forth their ideas and implicate their ideas. So they are either by invitation or they are having some kind of local partner with them. So we are also not accepting international degree, and it's becoming like a thing. But in Sri Lanka, in countries like Sri Lanka, the architectural student who does a 5-year of architecture course automatically gets a RIBA certification. So they are allowed to practice abroad. So that is something which we should now talk to Council of Architecture to get these things done at their level, because these are important for our students to be accepted worldwide.
Yes.
And a degree to be accepted worldwide. But it is happening because we have created this kind of a situation where we don't give or we don't take also. Even though we are talking about foreign architects coming to India, they cannot practice directly in India. They have to have a local partner or an Indian architect working with them.
But achieving that partnership in India is very easy, but other way around.
Yeah, it's very easy because we are open to this kind of situation. Even our governments are very open to this kind of situation. So you will see in a lot of these government projects, they invite by invitation architects from foreign or the abroad, and they collaborate with them. So that is happening, and they're ready to pay hefty consultation fee to the foreign architects rather than to give opportunity to the Indian architects who may have the same kind of caliber. So I have seen this happening in many of the cases of city planning and other projects in India.
I would like other panelists also to respond to this.
Yeah, Jyoti, can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the point is that if you're talking about foreign architects or architects from India going and practicing abroad, so that is not how the education system is going to kind of change the situation in that. A 3-year or a 5-year will not make any difference in that, especially if you're talking about foreign. It is about the caliber of education that you are imparting to the students. That is what is going to change the situation. 3-year or 5-year is not going to make any difference in that particular sector that you are talking about. Especially when you have at least, I mean, IIA is 100-year-old. What have we achieved as an institution, or what have we achieved as a fraternity of architects in this country is going to kind of change the situation, or is going to raise the bar for the architects of India, whether they're going to practice here or going to go out. So that those are little formalities. If a foreign architect comes here and kind of appoints a local one, that's a formality. The main work still goes to the foreign architect. So that is not going to kind of really make matter in that aspect. The students need to be groomed for better. They need to have proper academic oriented teachers who are really not the fresh pass outs, as Anand sir said. They need to be properly, and as I mentioned, if there's a 3-year exit option, there can be a teachers training course, which is going to be a very separate thing to teach in itself a profession. We are not trained to teach. We are architects. We are trained to design. So that aspect needs to be really worked upon at the government level, where the grooming of the teachers that is going to happen is so well done, so that the caliber of the students really change, and that is what is going to change the situation for me.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Okay. So, adding to this point, I served in Kuwait from the year 97 to 2000. And I experienced one thing which was really surprising to me while I worked with 28 nationals. If there are a few candidates for an interview for architect's post, there the terms are mostly project architect. Like, it's not only architect, you are required to work on the field. You are required to be a project architect. So in such scenario, if there is a Filipino guy who is a diploma holder, and there are other nationals who are graduates, the country, they know the caliber, they know the kind of knowledge they have, they will always go for a diploma Filipino, a Filipino national, because these guys are extremely good in detailing. The kind of details of every area, I mean the construction details, they are too good in that. And even I have served with them, I did experience the difference. So such exposure to sites, I mean the construction sites, activities to site visits and all, will really make a difference. As we said, why we are hiring foreign nationals. I have worked with some infrastructure development projects in India, and there are certain designations mentioned very clearly as international experts only. So why don't we take Indians for that, our own nationals? And as Ritu madam said, they are highly paid. I mean, I've seen the kind of packages planned for them. So provided we train and educate our students in that caliber, in that strength, I don't think we have any dearth of talent in our own nation.
So here question is bouncing back to the curriculum part of it, and here one of the member is writing, I would like to add that onus should be to make curriculum which is keeping with changing times, environment, ecology, economy, sociology, history, art, design, technology, with the base of architectural education. All this should be holistically encompassed in 3 to 4 years, and 1 year should be professional practices, what Manish Patil is recommending over here. So the way we had been discussing, it is coming up, what we say, one side, why don't we keep our students market ready, where madam added, Ritu madam added, what is market? So ultimately we are coming to skill-based education system, and the skill-based education system, because architecture is cross-sectional and interdisciplinary to a certain extent, how to design a curriculum, who will take the onus of it, come back, the ball bounces back to COA, to what extent that role will be taken care of, and who all should participate in creating that new course which is developing the skills. Yes, ma'am.
Just to add to this particular point, that the new education policy, if you have gone through it, it mentions that the skill base is going to be the whole point of making this new education policy. Secondly, the talk about global collaboration. So you can collaborate at the education level with some college abroad and make a new curriculum. So these kind of flexibilities will of course be good for architecture. And if you are talking about making market ready, this will be a welcome change. The third point which can add to our thing is the vision which is being envisaged, that all colleges will now be having autonomous status. So universities, we were always generally affiliated to universities or We were depending on universities for whenever, like 5-year cycle, 3-year cycle, there would be a syllabus change. Now we can look forth that because we can have autonomous situations, so we can formulate our syllabus as per our needs. So that could be a welcome change for many of the colleges who wish to make these kind of deliverables available to students. So you can offer lot many electives, you can offer lot many interdisciplinary activities, you can offer global degree wherein 1 year you can offer at a foreign collaborated college and the rest of it can be here. So these kind of facilities and flexibilities are possible. It was there earlier also, but now it's being more reiterated by the national education policy. So that is something which we as academicians and practitioners can look forward as a welcome change for our at least our course.
Okay, Jyoti, one more thing which I want to add is this 3 years exit system jo hai, if we can add one more thing to this educational policy, that after 2-3 years of practice or 2-3 years of working in an office, if that person can come and rejoin and do the rest part of the course, I think this type of flexible system can always help.
Yes.
That is there.
Second
That is already there. That is there.
Yeah, second thing is
that is in place.
Certain we now require, as Anand sir's concern is Anand sir's concern, that we should now have students and faculties with conviction towards the fraternity, towards the education. Now, if I talk about this, how many of faculties or students are bothered about IIA or COA, working for IIA or COA? Most of the students who pass out in 5th year also, they don't know about IIA or activities of IIA or activities of COA. So this type of conviction we should make strong so that students come and do a good practice when they go out of this college.
Shailesh, but if you are talking about IIA or COA, it is not going to come about from the college itself. It is going to be from the fraternity, that one needs to find that space, that this is where I'm going to kind of find
it is the second part. They should be appraised from the college level only.
They should be appraised, but that does not help. Really, that does not help. You and me being in this institution for so long, we have understood that it does not really work. Even the professionals, they don't find value. It is only when you start finding value and you really kind of push that limit, that you really want to go and join hands with the rest of the fraternity. Otherwise, it is everybody is on their own kind of enclave or on their own pedestal, and it is the situation of this fraternity to keep binding them together is going to be a challenge every time.
Sir, a suggestion could be like INTAC and other IGBC have started their student chapters now. So like that, even I could think of a student chapter in the colleges, and this could help in bonding them right from the beginning, and then people who are serious can join the IA at a later stage. So a lot of these professional bodies are doing it.
Yeah, that is the purpose of this World Architecture Days being celebrated with institutes. IIA Baroda has been doing it since last 4 years with various institutes. We have done it. This time, fortunately, or what we can say, that the president and secretary are the head of 2 colleges. So we should come up with this forum and this platform today. So I think prototypes can be done with various cities and various colleges. I think it will slowly start building up.
Anand sir, Surinder sir, Abraham sir.
Shailesh, I would like to really know who drafted this title of this discussion, minimum standards of architectural education. I mean, who will set these standards? Or who will form these standards?
The gazetteer is on the name of this only, the latest 2020 gazetteer.
Tatu sir, we can't try away. We have to do it. You all have to come together and do it.
COA new gazetteer is by this name only, sir.
We have to do it.
Yes, sir. COA gazetteer is by this name only, the 2020.
So what is the take of COA on this 3 years exit?
So they have only proposed to that. Ritu ma'am, can you reflect onto this?
Yes, I will just share that. That what is being proposed is that if you have gone again, coming back to the national education policy, that it is mentioning now there will be only after 10th standard there will be a bifurcation of skills. From it will be introduced at a very early stage in the schools. And looking at that policy, if we look at it at a bigger picture, what the council is anticipating that we will have now people who are interested in architecture or at least the design and creative fields, beginning their career or education and skill building from maybe 10th onwards or before that. I don't know how the education policy is going to incorporate it. So that was the premise behind having this 3 year of skill development or 3 year of exit point. So the council has therefore formulated this norm that they will be providing a 3 year exit to students who join from in the course of architecture. And in that also, as I mentioned in the beginning itself, 3 year does not guarantee them a license to practice. It does not register them with Council of Architecture. They will have to complete their 5 years of education. So as sir was also mentioning, that there is a possibility that after 3 years they can take a break, come back at another point saying that we want to complete this education, and then they will formally get the degree of architecture and a registration to practice. And also there is a thought going on that there will be some kind of exit exam for registration. So that I don't know how far it is happening, but that is also a thought which is going on. The next thing which council is also proposing is the kind of accreditation to schools. So it may be self-accreditation system or it may be an accreditation policy which they will be formulating. So that is also something being worked on. So your question about quality of institutions, the kind of faculty and the student quality can be resolved to some level when we start introspecting and talking about what kind of quality we are giving back to the society.
Ma'am, does this give an opening further over here? After 3 years, the council can give two options, that somebody who is really interested into research into architecture and then into academics and professional practice into architecture and then into practice. Is it possible?
The council is a body which does not actually regulate education per se, the curriculum. They are giving you some minimum standards. You have to follow the minimum standards. You can always go over it. So it is going to be as per the autonomous status or the universities which we are aligned to will give you a flexibility of whether you want to incorporate more research-based electives or more skill-based electives. So electives are going to play a major role in the way you shape up your school philosophy. So that can be something which you can think about. Like Mumbai University, I am just talking from my experience, offers around 25% of electives. So in these electives, like in my school, we have started giving electives which are not something which we have been teaching in our regular curriculum. So it may be community-based design. It may be just making a parametric module for a shelter or something else. So it may be as per the needs of the society or the area around that we can shape our electives and we can give these kind of quality-based things to our students.
I'm just trying to imagine a situation that a student exits after 3 years. He works in the field for say 3 years more, and then he comes back. He joins a batch of students who are regularly graduating and going from the 3rd year to 4th year. So this guy who has worked for 3 years, he comes and joins the same batch. So will that not be a kind of, it will not be, the capabilities of these students will be quite different. And to evaluate this kind of a difference will be very difficult for the faculty members.
Sir, Ritu ma'am, please.
Sorry.
Ma'am, you finish.
I'll just share this experience because I have been taking since the past 10 years a workshop with the French students, wherein the students from France who are graduating from France come to India and learn something. I mean, they document some areas here. So I have been handling students from 20 years of age to 70 years of age. So
Yeah.
I don't, and that is just a passion which they have, that they want. Like one of them was a director in films, and he said, at the age of 60, I felt like doing architecture, and I came and I started this course. So that is the kind of envisaging which people are doing in India as well, that keep it a barrier-free thing where anybody of any age can come in and learn about architecture. So what you were talking about passion, this will come into a profession. And it will also be multidisciplinary. So people from all walks of life, if they're interested, will come into architecture. But the kind of question mark is whether they will be given license to practice or not. That is a question mark currently.
Sir, Anand sir, but your question I would like to add over here. You were saying that because two different age group will be doing their fourth year and fifth year together. But instead of playing as a drawback, it rather helps the students because they get enhanced with the experience of their colleagues who are already experienced from the market. Like I'll just add up from my experience, because I did my master's in urban regional planning. After 25 years of architectural practice, I finished my BR, and all my classmates who were doing my master's along with me were of the students of my son's age. And what exposure and benefit they got because of my practice had given a different kind of elevation to our whole batch. So that will help us to bridge that gap, what we are discussing quite a lot. So rather this kind of mixed bag of age group is good. Rather
I agree with you, Jyoti, and we have a similar example. Sailesh obviously knows Pragnesh. He in our batch, he had completed SBST and then he joined architecture. So he had 3 years experience, which was added on the construction field, and then he joined architecture. It really kind of makes things better for the entire batch. And I agree with you, Jyoti.
Yes, it is
I
a
think
benefit.
Jyoti, you would give a complex to the faculty.
Why, sir?
I agree with.
My case was like that. My case was also like that, and I am fortunate that my students had come and taught me.
Yes, here I go as a guest faculty for master's second year students. So we have 2 electives. One is ecology conservation, and second is heritage conservation. So similar to what Ritu madam and Jyoti madam stated just a few minutes back, we even have one student who is senior to rest of others in the batch. And the other students who are just passed out and joined after the bachelors, they were not exposed, or they were not having that kind of zeal towards that subject. But down the line, after a few lectures, the way they interacted with each other and all, it really made difference. And today was the day when I got feedback, and the way we used to complete 5 to 6 presentations in 2 hours, but today we experience one single presentation in 2 hours. That's the kind of change it brings.
Okay. Anybody else on this topic, or I'll just shift to a small new topic over here. Just one more thing what I wanted to discuss, like capacity building. We are discussing again and again for teachers that they need to be given a proper. So already COA is running a teacher training program where they're trying to really enhance onto the teaching skills of architects, because to know and to teach are 2 different ball game. So already Council of Architecture is going giving teacher training program. But somewhere, don't we think as a professionals also, the way market is changing so fast and there are certain things, so some similar kind of sessions should happen at professional also, and academia and parallel is another big issue which is coming up and being discussed quite a lot, because the products in the market or the technology and everything is so fast that do we need similar kind of small certificate course through like council or some other professional body like IIA or any other, which is helping the professionals in the market to bridge the gap between technology that when we pass it and what we are right now, even though you are in practice, but you feel that gap is there. So anything on professional peoples, I would like to really talk about this thing from your perspective.
In Ahmedabad Center,
Yes.
Vatsal and me have worked out a College Connect program wherein, we would as IIA representatives, we would go to the colleges, and we would also ensure that more number of colleges come together, because there are now in Gujarat, we have more than 30 colleges. And even in big cities like Ahmedabad and Vadodara, we have more than 10 colleges now. So we are trying to connect these people and go to the students, not only, talk to the students about COA and IIA, because people ask questions what IIA is doing for us. But then the new students, new young architects should join IIA, and they can take it up and take it further. But once we are doing this program, we are sure that we are going to get good results out of it. Another thing which I would like to say, when you're talking about capacity building of the faculty and the faculty training programs from COA, I think we should also have a minimum, experience guideline, that the faculty should have worked at least for 5 years in the field. Only then he or she should be inducted into the faculty.
That
is what needs to be done.
That we agree.
I would like to continue. I would like to continue what Anand Dandu had said, that the connection, it's really alienated right now. The academics and the profession is really alienated, and only through this kind of professional bodies that we can establish that connect. And from the perspective of the educational institute like yours and Sailesh said, you should be engaging more into these dialogues where professional architects and the technologies that you're talking about, the ever-evolving construction methodologies and the new materials that are coming about, have to be a regular feature at the college, which needs to be really kind of, because those people who are kind of, as Anand said, somebody a fresher and kind of starts teaching, is not going to have that kind of knowledge or understanding of the technologies, of the new materials, of the new ways of looking at things. It has to have the syllabus has to integrate that as a part of that curriculum, where you invite professionals, you invite vendors, you invite material suppliers to the colleges to explain what is happening, and that is going to really change the situation. And what we are trying to do is really do that, act as a catalyst between all the colleges, where even so some students come up and find out who is doing, let's say, good heritage restoration, and I want to go and work with him, or I want to intern with him. IIA can be the source. IIA can be the platform to really divert and attend to these kind of situations. So a very strong bond has to be created between the institutions and the professional bodies.
Just to add to this point, can I just add one point to this?
Yeah.
Okay. There is now one proposal which we are putting forth, that there are a lot of these construction related skills which are required, which nobody teaches. Neither, whoever the student comes in our colleges, they are not ready to nowadays learn about, say, construction skills per se. They enjoy seeing it, they enjoy supervising it, but they will never experience it on their own. So this is a kind of skill building that we can encourage in the schools, wherein small modules from 15 days to 1 month can be encouraged, so that the students get a first-hand experience of these skills, which can help them in the construction industry. This is something which we are proposing, and which even the council will be proposing in aligning with the new education policy.
Okay, ma'am. So I think so professional bodies like IIA and all those things can also start with this kind of skill-based development program. So that will help quite a lot with a hands-on certificate kind of course. I think so few of such sessions are done by ASEG also, what I have heard about it. As we are nearing to the end of the time, Google Meet will also tell us to wind up. I'll just, Prakash Pethe sir, who is a very senior person from our profession, he has been very patiently listening to all of us. I want him to summarize before I close down. Prakash sir, please, would you have few words?
Sir,
Petri
you
sir?
have yourself.
He's gone behind the Almirah.
I think so. Some net problem. I think so. Some technical issue with him.
He is not unmuted.
Yeah, I think so. Some technical issue. Okay, so nearing to the end because Google Meet will tell us goodbye. So it was really a nice session. I would really now invite Prerna again to wind up these things. Thank you. And thank you all the panelists. It was really wonderful
you for
discussing with
inviting.
all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for conducting such insightful and interesting discussion. Now, I request Professor Taha Padrawal to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Prerna. Myself, Architect Taha Padrawala, EC member of IA Baroda Center. Finally, would like to thank and maybe I take this opportunity to place our heartiest thanks to Aniket sir and Surinder sir for sharing their learning with us, and Surinder sir also for sharing in the panel discussion. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to join our World Architecture Day celebration event and motivate us to keep moving forward. Event like this scale cannot happen overnight. The wheel starts rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and bird's eye for the details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by our chairman and general secretary, Jyoti ma'am and Shailesh sir, a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues of APID and College of Architecture, SVIT Vasar, who know their jobs and are result oriented. My sincere thanks to the panel members and moderator, Jyoti ma'am, Abraham sir, Ritu ma'am, Vatsal sir, Anand sir, for contributing their time and considered thoughts on the panel session for Minimum Standard of Architecture Education 2020 and its impact on architecture practice. I also like to thank from the bottom of my heart to the students fraternity who have been turned up in such great numbers from all the colleges. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks a lot.